Let me tell you a truth that most men never realize. Women don't become obsessed with you just because you chase them. In fact, the more you chase, the less she feels for you. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? But that's the truth. And if you've ever wondered why the harder you try, the more distant she becomes, it's not an accident, it's psychology. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make a woman sexually obsessed with you without ever chasing her. We're going to uncover the hidden switches inside female attraction, and I promise, if you stay until the end, you'll understand why some men leave women longing for them, even addicted to them, while others are forever ignored. Before we dive deeper, let me make one important thing clear. Obsession is not a manipulative game. It's not lies or cheap tricks, and it's not short-term psychological gimmicks. True obsession, the kind that makes a woman think about you late at night, the kind that makes her relive every moment with you and crave your presence, comes from who you are, from your aura, your energy, the way you live and lead. And here lies the big difference. Ordinary men keep chasing women, texting non-stop, doing everything just to beg for a sliver of attention. But men who understand the game don't. He doesn't beg, he doesn't plead, he doesn't throw away his own value just to earn a few minutes of concern. If you're living in that clingy mindset, this is your wake-up call, because in the next few minutes, you'll realize the truth. You don't need to chase her to make her obsessed with you. You just need to become the kind of man she can never forget. A woman doesn't become obsessed when you give her everything. She becomes obsessed when you ignite her imagination. What makes her desire you is not constant presence, but space. Not absolute certainty, but uncertainty. Women are not drawn to what they already fully possess, they're drawn to what they can't quite reach. When you're always available, when you text her endlessly, when you're ready whenever she wants, you've accidentally killed the excitement. Imagine if a game showed all its cards from the start, what's left to be excited about. Women don't want a man they can completely control. They want a man they cannot fully own. It is absence, distance, the unspoken, that makes her think of you more, crave you more, and slowly become obsessed with you. There are 5 important principles you must grasp if you want a woman to truly become obsessed with you. Principle 1. Magnetic confidence. The very first principle, and also the foundation of all attraction, is magnetic confidence. But remember, confidence is not speaking loudly, it's not arrogance, and it's not trying to show off. True confidence is the calmness that radiates from within you. It's in your eyes when you look straight without flinching. It's in your voice, slow, steady, never rushed. It's in the way you walk, not hurried, not shaky, but full of control. A confident man doesn't need to prove anything, because his energy alone speaks for him. When you carry this kind of energy, she will feel a force of attraction that she cannot resist. She will be drawn in without even understanding why. And that is the difference between an ordinary man and a man who makes women obsessed. Principle 2. Scarcity and presence. The second principle is scarcity and presence. One of the biggest mistakes men make is always being too available, replying to her messages instantly, picking up the phone whenever she calls, even dropping work or personal plans just to run to her when she asks. But the more available you are, the less your value becomes. Women don't cherish what they can get too easily. Imagine for a moment, if diamonds were scattered all over the street, would they still be precious? It is scarcity that creates value. This doesn't mean you have to pretend to be busy or act cold on purpose. It means you have a rich life, you have goals, you have dreams, and passions bigger than the relationship itself. When you're genuinely busy with your own life, your presence in her eyes becomes rare and valuable. And when you are with her, let that presence be complete. Look her in the eyes, listen deeply. Make her feel as if the whole world disappears and only the two of you remain. That is the balance between scarcity and presence. When you're absent, she longs for you. When you're present, she is completely immersed in you. And this combination is the formula that slowly makes her obsessed. Principle 3. A touch of danger. The third principle is a touch of danger. Women are powerfully drawn to men who have an edge, who carry a hint of unpredictability, a spark of the unexpected, not reckless irresponsibility, but the energy that says, I don't need you to survive, but I choose you to walk beside me. This feeling awakens something deep in her instincts. It makes her curious. It makes her fear losing you, and at the same time, It makes her crave keeping you close. Men who are too gentle, too safe, too predictable usually end up in the friend zone. But a man with a touch of danger will always linger in her mind shell, think of you before she falls asleep, and even dream about you at night. A sharp remark, a gaze held longer than usual, an unexpected but decisive choice. All of these create the difference. And when you combine the safety of a trustworthy man with the allure of hidden danger, you become the kind of man a woman can never forget. Principle 4. Masculine polarity. The fourth principle is masculine polarity. A woman only truly feels feminine when she is with a man who is deeply masculine. And here, masculinity is not just muscles, not just a deep voice, but the energy of leadership, decisiveness, and the ability to guide the moment. When you walk into a date already knowing where you're going and what you're doing, you radiate the presence of a man in control. When you place your hand on her waist and guide her steps, she instantly feels safe yet at the same time. Her heart beats faster from the thrill of being led. When you hold eye contact just a little longer, without flinching, without rushing, her body responds automatically. That's instinct. A man who embodies masculine polarity makes a woman let go of control and surrender herself to his energy. And it's in that very moment that obsession begins to take root. Principle 5. Controlled indifference. The fifth principle is controlled indifference. This is the paradox that creates the strongest obsession. A woman wants to feel important to you, but at the same time, she wants to feel that she has to work to maintain that place in your life. If you give her everything right from the start, the mystery disappears, and so does the desire. But if you're completely cold, she will leave you. That's why balance is the key. Show care, but never give everything all at once. Be warm, but never desperate. Let her see that you are willing to give her attention. But at the same time, you have your own life, your own goals, your own passions. When you do this, she will always remain in a state of being both satisfied and unsatisfied, both feeling like she has you and fearing she might lose you. And it is exactly that inner conflict that becomes fertile ground for obsession to grow inside her mind. Beyond the 5 principles we've just discussed, there is one crucial factor that many men often overlook, yet it determines whether a woman will truly desire and become obsessed with you. And that is trust and a sense of safety. You may have good looks, you may carry immediate charm from the very first glance, but all of that will only be fleeting if she doesn't feel safe when she's with you. Because women, by instinct, are always searching for a man they can trust, a man they can lean on, a man who not only attracts them in the moment but also makes them feel secure when thinking about the future. When a woman sees that you are reliable, responsible, someone who keeps his promises and is consistent in his actions, she will begin to open up. Her worries, her guardedness, her fear of being taken advantage of, these gradually fade away. And when her mind is freed from doubt, desire naturally begins to grow. Remember, physical attraction may start with a look, a smile, or a gentle touch, but to turn that attraction into obsession, you need to build a solid emotional foundation. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. You don't need to do grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as truly listening when she speaks, not interrupting, not judging. Sometimes it's just a small act of care reminding her to wear something warm when it's cold, or noticing little details in her life that seem insignificant. It is precisely those simple things that make her feel cherished, protected, and from there, the desire for closeness becomes stronger than any words of seduction. If the 5 principles are the fire that makes her heart tremble, then trust is the wind that keeps that fire burning long. When you can combine both desire and safety, you are no longer just the man she wants, you become the man she needs. And that is when you are no longer just a fleeting lover in her eyes, but the sweet obsession that occupies both her mind and her heart. Now we need to talk about mistakes, because no matter how well you understand the principles, just a few wrong actions are enough to ruin the entire attraction. The first mistake: texting too much. When you send her a flood of messages, when you constantly update her on every little thing you're doing, you may think this will make her care more, but in reality, it only makes you seem insecure and predictable. The second mistake: seeking validation. When you ask questions like, "Do you like me? Do you miss me? Do you think about me?" you've unknowingly placed yourself in a weak position. Women are not attracted to neediness. They are attracted to a man who is confident, who knows his value without having to ask. The third mistake, giving too much too soon. Men often think that if they shower her with gifts, compliments, and all their attention right from the beginning, she will be moved. But in truth, when she hasn't invested in you yet, all that giving feels cheap. The fourth mistake, pretending to be cold. Many men hear the advice to act indifferent, and so they try to play the role of a cold man. But women are highly intuitive. They will instantly notice when you're faking it. And once she senses the inauthenticity, the attraction disappears completely. What you need is not a FOD, but real control from within. When you understand and avoid these mistakes, you won't sabotage your own attraction, and you will keep the flame of desire in her heart burning brighter and brighter. At this point, you may be wondering, so what is the real formula for making a woman sexually obsessed with you? Keep this very clear in your mind. Sexual obsession is built on 4 elements: confidence, scarcity, masculinity, and controlled mystery. These are the 4 pieces that create the most powerful pull. Let me give you an example. You meet her on a date. You look straight into her eyes. Your voice is slow and calm. You don't try to prove anything. You don't rush to tell her everything about yourself. You leave space for her curiosity, for her to want to discover more. After the date, you don't immediately text or call. You disappear for a day or two, not because you're playing a game, but because you genuinely have a full and busy life. In that time, her mind begins to spin with questions. Why hasn't he contacted me? Did I do something wrong? Where is he? Is he with another woman? And it is exactly this chain of unanswered questions that begins to occupy her mind. This is when obsession starts to form. Remember, you don't need to chase her to make her think about you. You just need to become the kind of man who is confident enough, mysterious enough, strong enough that every time you appear, her heart beats faster, and every time you are gone, she cannot stop thinking about you. Women respond more to energy than to words. You can say sweet things. You can use clever lines of flirtation. But if your energy and body language don't align, she won't feel anything. The truth is, sometimes just a light touch is more powerful than 1,000 words. Imagine placing your hand gently on her back as you walk through a doorway, a simple gesture, but enough for her to feel guided and protected. Think of the moment you move closer, your eyes holding longer than usual, then pausing for a heartbeat before you kiss. That brief silence makes her heart race, makes her breath quicken, and turns the kiss into something she craves, rather than something you rush to give away. Your body language must stay consistent with the confidence and masculine energy you've built. No rushing, no trembling, no seeking approval. Instead, certainty, the ability to hold the silence, the ability to be fully present in each moment. And when you know how to control your sexual energy, not rushing, not forcing, you create a sweet tension. And if that tension is left unresolved, it transforms into obsession, making her carry your image in her mind even when you're not there. The final secret, and the very thing that separates an ordinary man from a man who makes women obsessed, is self-mastery. Most men lose their attractiveness not because they are inadequate, but because they cannot control their emotions and desires. When you let neediness take the lead, when you rush into texting, calling, or seeking her attention, you've shown her that you cannot even control yourself. And when you cannot control yourself, you cannot control the situation. On the other hand, when you know how to restrain your desires, when you know how to step back instead of rushing forward, when you can stay calm even when she tests you, that is the moment she loses control of her own desire. Remember, women crave men whose lives are bigger than the relationship, men with goals, careers, passions, men who never trade it all just to gain attention from a woman. When you master yourself, you don't need to chase emotions. You become the center she revolves around. And it is this difference that makes you the man she not only wants to be with, but also cannot stop thinking about even when you're not there. Now you understand sexual obsession never comes from chasing. It does not come from constant messages or excessive presence. It comes from mystery, from confidence, from masculine polarity, and from self-control. If you want a woman to think of you endlessly, if you want her to replay every moment she's had with you, if you want to become the man she both desires and can never forget, then the answer is not more effort but better energy. And if you found this video valuable, hit subscribe, press like, and leave a comment below saying I choose confidence, not neediness, because in the end, Dating is not about chasing women. Dating is about becoming the kind of man women never want to stop chasing.